famed Frank Zappa has just written a new book, The Real Frank Zappa, written with my friend Peter Occhiogrosso, who wrote my book with me. There you see Frank's book, The Real Frank Zappa. It is published by Poseidon. It's an autobiography, but really not. It's more of an entertainment as Frank waxes poetic on many things in a wide range of subjects. What do we mean by the title? Is there a fake Frank Zappa?
Well, the title of the book is The Real Frank Zappa Book. There are a number of, I would say, rather stupid exploitation-type books that have been written about me by other people.
This is The Real Frank Zappa Book.
Yes, because I wrote it. It's the only one that's out that I wrote.
Okay, Frank, is it a history? Do you tell us about birth? Do you give us highlight points of life, school events, etc.?
Well, it's got, a certain amount of nostalgic stuff that was a prerequisite for doing the book, but the agreement that I had with the publisher was, excuse me, that I would be able to, instead of just doing an ordinary autobiography type thing, put some portions of the book to be essays about topics that interested me. So it's about 50-50.
Do you think the kind of person you are, a very opinionated person, does that come into your writing?
Oh, yes.
Someone with a good ear would know that this is a angry man?
No, I think that most people, their response to the book, find it to be very funny.
Funny?
Yes.
Do you think you're funny?
Well, I think I can be funny.
Because your image is one more of a person who's pounding his fist saying that's wrong.
Well, in today's world of situational ethics, if you pound your fist and say it's wrong, that could be funny.
Okay, let's discuss some of the things. One, the new issue of Billboard magazine says that the United States Congress has been privately advised as long as 2 years ago by its legal counsel that it has the constitutional right to regulate explicit sound recording lyrics and to restrict minors' access to them. Want to comment?
I think it's unfortunate.
That's your only comment?
That's my only comment. It's unfortunate.
Unfortunate that the legal counsel feels that way?
Unfortunate that people are making such a big deal about lyrics on records.
Well, elaborate for me. You think that's not a big deal? We should not be concerned about
We should not be concerned about it. I say this. If lyrics on records could produce the kinds of negative results that certain people claim they produce, then take this example. Most of the records which are broadcast on the radio are songs about love. 99% is about love. And all we hear on the radio is love. So if the lyrics were impressing our society, what will we have here? Disneyland, but we don't.
So therefore the lyrics aren't working.
I don't think that the argument that if you hear a lyric, you're going to act out the lyric holds much water.
Is that still an issue? I mean, we haven't heard from Tipper Gore much. Is that still an issue? Do you expect that to come before Congress again?
In this country, anything is possible.
Don't you feel better about this administration than the prior one?
Well, I tried to give it the benefit of the doubt. I didn't vote for George Bush, but I would say that to be fair, you got to let him develop and see what he's going to do. I'm waiting for some positive results from this administration, but basically what I see is indecision, a mugwump syndrome where you're sitting on the fence and trying not to really do anything, because along with a deed comes the responsibility for the deed.
Okay, you're angry about televangelists too, are you not?
Well, I don't like them very much, no.
All right, but you would not deny their right to purchase the time?
Well, I think that they have the right to purchase the time. What I do object to is the fact that when a man purchases time on a television channel, and he's paying very good money for this time, especially on some of the independent channels, in some cases an extremely high rate for this time, it gives him a certain amount of leverage to control the rest of the content on the channel. In other words, if I went to a broadcaster and said, I want to do a show on your channel, and Jimmy Swaggart, for example, was another person buying time on the channel, and he was paying a large amount of money for this time, he could, in effect, say, I don't want to be on the same channel with this type of entertainment or that type of entertainment, or I'm taking my show, which pays you a lot of money, Mr. License Holder, to another channel. And so it gives him leverage to control the content of the rest of what's on the air.
Yeah. Economic threat.
That's right.
Okay. Some other things. We'll take your calls, by the way. If you want to talk to Frank Zappa, the Real Frank Zappa book is out from Poseidon at 202-898-7600. You named your kids Moon Unit, Dweezil, Ahmet Rodan, and Diva.
Amit Amuka Rodan.
Amika Rodan.
Amuka.
Yeah.
Emuukha.
Okay, why not Charles, Billy, Willie, and Sarah?
I didn't feel like it.
Why do you not listen to the radio?
Because I don't find anything on it that's interesting.
You find nothing on the radio that's interesting?
No. So I like news. If there's news radio, and if I'm in a car, I'll listen to news radio, but I don't like American entertainment radio.
You have not driven a car in 20 years.
Yeah, my license expired in 1967.
Why, Frank?
Why did my license expire?
No. Why, Frank, don't you drive?
Because when it expired, I refused to ever in life stand in line at the Department of Motor Vehicles in California again.
You mean based on that, the fact that it might take an hour or two of your time, you decided it's better not to drive?
How about 4 hours of my time?
Okay, 4 hours, Frank.
4 hours of my time, and I refused to be subjected to that ever again in life. And I wasn't going anywhere anyway, so if I'm just going to stay home and I only need to go from my house to the airport or from my house down to CNN every once in a while, why? Why have a license?
Okay, Frank, let's take some calls. The real Frank Zappa book is out from Poseidon Ridgewood, New Jersey. Hello.
Hi, Larry. Hi, Frank.
Hi.
Frank, I just want to know what prompted John Lennon joining you on stage at the Fillmore in '71, and secondly, if there was a rock and roll band in the great hereafter, what instrument is the Ayatollah playing?
It's a type of flute.
A type of flute.
Yeah,
All right,
what
happened
on
with
that for a moment?
What happened with the John Lennon thing?
He was introduced to me that afternoon by a journalist, and that was the first time I'd met him. And we were already recording at the Fillmore East that night, and I invited him and Yoko to come down and join us on stage. It was just a simple invitation.
You've done over 50 albums. You're interested in a wide range of music. Did you like the Beatles' music?
A few songs. I have my favorites, but most of it I didn't like.
Didn't like?
No.
How would you describe to someone who had never heard it the Zappa sound?
Well, I do a lot of different kinds of music, and ranging from orchestral music to big band music to fuzz tone music. So
there's no Zappa sound then?
There are many Zappa sounds, and if you could specialize in one, if you wanted to listen to only guitar type stuff, I could give you a list of albums that have that. If you like orchestral music, that's another list. It's a variety.
You've always had, is it fair to call it a large cultish following?
I would say that there has been a cultish following. Whether or not it's large, I can't prove.
Philadelphia for Frank Zappa. Hello.
Your stance against like drugs that is obviously that way, was that from personal experience back in the Reuben and the Jets days, or were you smart enough then to know that they were a bad thing?
No, I was smart enough then to know, and I've been saying the same thing for over 20 years.
Which is?
Stay away from drugs.
Do you favor their remaining illegal?
No, I do not.
So you would make them legal but urge people not to use them?
That's right.
As you would tobacco and liquor?
That's right.
Our guest is Frank Zappa. The book, The Real Frank Zappa book, is published by Poseidon. You're watching Larry King Live, and we'll take more phone calls for Frank.
Make it more interesting.
I wish I could, but unfortunately I don't have access to the media.
What do you mean?
Because in order to make music more interesting, you have to have your musical product placed in the marketplace where music is consumed. That means radio and musical video shows that play that sort of thing. And I think that basically this is a medium in which one must pay to enter.
So in other words, the fact that you have what you perceive as pure talent doesn't mean that you get an audience.
No, you won't get an audience unless you are cooperating with a system which I think is
corrupt?
That would be a nice way to say it.
Okay. We go to Cleveland, Ohio with Frank Zappa. Hello.
Hi, Larry. Hi, Frank.
Hi.
First of all, I just want to make a comment before my question, and that is to say that, Frank, I really find your music innovative and eclectic, and I, in my own, have compared you to Todd Rundgren and also David Byrne of Talking Heads. My question to you, though, is with all the reunions that are going on with bands, such as Yes and the comebacks of other groups from the 60s, 70s that are doing things now, what is your opinion on people that are doing that? Do you think it's for the money or for the love of music?
Can't say. I've never seen any of the reunion performances. I haven't heard any of the reunion records, so it'd be wrong to prejudge it.
Okay, we go to Long Island, New York with Frank Zappa. Hello.
Yes, hi, Frank.
Hi.
Frank, your music in the early 70s was considered outrageous. In fact, the lyrics were, in my opinion, incoherent and unacceptable to the times. I'd like to know how you developed your lyrics.
I write songs about whatever happens to pop into my head. The last album, and in fact the CD version of this album, Broadway the Hard Way, has just come out. And most of the lyrics on that album had to do with the 1988 political campaign. And just whatever is happening at the time that I write the song.
What period is he in the early 70s? Was that a particular period of memory to you, Frank, that he would find the lyrics incoherent?
I have no idea what he's talking about.
Okay. We go to where? Caro, Michigan. Hello.
Hello, Larry and Frank. I have two quick comments and a question.
Okay.
My first comment is I'd like to thank Frank for fighting the PMRC with all his heart. My second is that I think your musical version of Stairway to Heaven is beautiful.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And my question is, are there any college or underground bands that you really think are better than most of the crap that's on the radio?
I'm sure there are hundreds, maybe even thousands of them out there. Unfortunately, they won't get a chance to record.
Can you give me an example of a major group or individual who's played a lot on the radio who you think is terrible?
I wouldn't.
You wouldn't name someone?
No, I wouldn't. Because first of all, I believe people have the right to consume any kind of music they want to hear,
right,
regardless of whether or not I enjoy it.
But generally, you think what you hear on the radio is terrible? I
think basically it's product. And the reason why it is being manufactured is basically just to make money. And it seems to me to have very little to do with the basic reasons for making music in the first place.
Okay, Frank, thanks for being with us. And I don't know how to say this, but we'll see you tomorrow night on the radio show.
Okay. Thanks, Larry.
A program Frank has never heard. Frank Zappa, author of the Real Frank Zappa book, published by Poseidon Press.